Hi, everybody. Welcome to ENL 3220, Renaissance Literature and Culture. My name is Professor Zainab Chima, and I'm going to be a professor for this course in summer 2024. In this particular video, I'm going to go ahead and go over the syllabus for all of you, talk about the course policies, talk about the course schedule. Then I'm going to go ahead and give you a tour of the course website so that you know where everything is laid out. And at the very end, I'm going to talk about the homework for this coming week. So as you know, our course is an asynchronous one. That means that we're not going to be meeting in a face-to-face classroom. We're not going to be meeting synchronously in a Zoom classroom. Instead, I'm going to be recording videos and putting them on Canvas alongside the readings and assignments. And you guys will be responsible for watching the videos, reading the content, and then doing the assignments on your own time within the deadlines. So that said, I want to make sure that this class is as enjoyable an experience as I can possibly make it. And critical to that is making sure that you're comfortable with where everything is laid out and how the course is going to go ahead and proceed. So let's go ahead and go to screen share and let me go ahead and give you a tour of our class Canvas website. All right, so when you log into our Canvas website, this is a landing page that you should see, the syllabus for our class. And so once again, this is Renaissance Literature and Culture, and the specific course title for our class is Shakespeare in the Borderlands. When you log into our course website, this is the landing page that you should be seeing, the course syllabus. This course is going to introduce you to Shakespeare in the Borderlands, and there are a couple of core themes around which the course is organized. The first, thinking about how Shakespeare imagines borders and border crossing in some of his most iconic plays. It's just incredible when you think about it, the extent to which Shakespeare thinks about borders and border crossings in a number of his plays, including the genres of tragedies, histories, romances, and comedies. We can think of plays including The Twelfth Night, which is a comedy which starts with the shipwreck and the heroine getting shipwrecked upon the coasts of Illyria, and that basically starting the comic plot. We can think of romances like Pericles or The Winter's Tale, which also involve border crossings, people going to other countries to protect their lives or for other reasons. So again, it's quite fascinating that one of the most iconic writers of the English language should be fascinated by borders, and that's something that we continue to talk about today. So Shakespeare will be used to help us think about borders and border crossings. The second theme is to get us to think about and interrogate the traditional use of Shakespeare within British and American culture, and think about specifically the way Shakespeare has been used to imagine canonical English, the canonical English language curriculum, or elite identity. And so here I'm going to invite you to think about your own English language curriculum experience, which the chances are very high, has included Shakespeare in some form or another. When we think about theater, when we think about going to see a play or staging a play, within the roster of playwrights, Shakespeare's name does come to the top very, very frequently. There are thousands of productions of his plays performed globally around the world every single year. So, what is it about Shakespeare that has caused him to have this iconic status? What does this iconic status mean for English language and English literature? Is this iconic status deserved, in your opinion, or not? So, these are things that we're going to be interrogating in this course as well. The third core theme is to think about the ways in which contemporary writers and directors adapt Shakespeare to tell their own unique and creative and incredibly powerful stories. So, with every single Shakespeare play that we read, I'm going to have you also read and watch adaptations of Shakespeare and to think about what does it mean to take a Shakespeare play and adapt it in a production or adapt it in another play and change it to the needs of that audience or that medium. So we're going to be thinking about adaptation in that way. As the Chicken X writer Gloria Anzaldúa has discussed, the Borderlands is a culturally hybrid space where borders of multiple worlds rub against each other and generate new identities and cultural forms. And once again, this does apply to Shakespeare's plays to a large degree, as it does to our own contemporary world. So that said, considering the extent to which Shakespeare himself is adapted and take it into new directions and new media and new storylines, it can also be said that Shakespeare himself is a Borderlands. Like the canonical plays that get transformed into new stories is again a Borderlands where new cultural worlds are encountered or explored, different cultures are basically engaged with in new and exciting and creative ways. These are the themes that we're going to be exploring through two main Shakespeare plays. The first is Romeo and Juliet, which is arguably Shakespeare's most famous tragedy. And the second core Shakespeare play that we're going to be reading is Julius Caesar, which is one of his history plays about one of the founding fathers of the Roman Empire. And so these two plays are going to be paired with contemporary adaptations that include the Chicanx Mexican American writer Jaime Cerez Magaña's play The Tragic Corrido of Romeo and Lupe, the UK National Theatre's film adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, starring Josh O'Connor and Jessie Buckley, and Phillida Lloyd's all-female production of Julius Caesar, which was incredibly well received. I have the posters for those movies up here in the bar above the course description, and this is the UK National Theatre adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. Again, if Josh O'Connor sounds familiar to you, you might have seen him at the Met Gala. The photos that came out about the Met Gala. He was in attendance because he is one of the stars of the recent Zendaya movie Challengers. And this is the poster for the Phillida Lloyd adaptation of Julius Caesar. So after completing this course, what skills and knowledges are you going to be gaining? They include learning critical thinking through textual and film analysis of Shakespeare, gaining evidence-based argumentation and writing skills, connecting critical analysis on Shakespeare to the world around us, being able to think about how Shakespeare informs the world and how the world informs our lens upon Shakespeare. And most importantly, to collaborate in a learning community. And I'll talk about that more in just a second. So next up, we have our reading list. And one thing that I should mention at the very outset is that you don't have to purchase any of the reading texts. So I will be providing every single text to you in PDF form. They include the text of Romeo and Juliet, which is the New Cambridge edition. They include the Tragic Corrido of Romeo and Lupe, which is an online text. And they include Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, which is also from the New Cambridge edition series. However, the two sort of parts of the primary reading list that you're going to have to be responsible for purchasing include the films. And so the Romeo and Juliet UK National Theatre film adaptation, you can go ahead and you can rent that from the UK National Theatre website. And I have the link right here. If you click on it, it should take you to that webpage. And same goes here for Julius Caesar. If you click on this link, it will take you to the webpage. You can rent those films when it comes time to watch them and to complete the activities based upon them. And they shouldn't really be any more than $10 each to rent. And so total, you'll probably be spending 10 to $20 dollars total on those particular films. And that's the only thing you'll have to spend for the course. To back up our primary readings, we're also going to be taking a look at some theoretical readings. They include Madeline Syatt's Interrogating the Shakespeare System. That's the essay we're going to start the course off with. Gloria Anzaldua's Borderlands, La Frontera, to help us think more deeply about this theme of borderlands and what does it have to do with Shakespeare then and now. We're going to be reading Catherine Gillen, Adriana Santos, and Catherine Balmer Santos, Tracing the Traditions of Borderlands Shakespeare. And I also have some other additional theoretical readings, which include Copilia Khan's Roman Shakespeare. That's something we'll be reading when we get down to talking about Julius Caesar. This section of the website is incredibly useful and important. And so if you are new to reading Shakespeare and the language again is a little unfamiliar, the cadence and the rhythm of the Shakespearean language is a little unfamiliar, you especially want to take some consideration at this section. So when you read Shakespeare, because he is such a metaphorical writer, he has all these elaborate metaphors and these incredibly creative and powerful ways of describing things, surprising ways of describing things. Um, you do want to go ahead and make yourself comfortable with any unfamiliar words or references that do come across. So one way to do that is to go to the FGCU library homepage. There's a tab for databases. Click on databases. It's going to, you can go ahead and you can enter the Oxford English Dictionary in the databases section. Click on the database for the Oxford English Dictionary and put in any unfamiliar words. It's going to go ahead and it's going to give you the definitions for that word, and you can look at the earlier definitions that corresponded with when Shakespeare was writing. And this is the best way to look up unfamiliar Shakespeare words and references. So you do have to, again, take those steps to like log into the database and access those words. There are other websites that make it a little bit more accessible in a digital environment. So they include Shakespeare's words. I think it gives you a couple of free trials, and then it asks for a subscription, which you can take and then unsubscribe at the end of the course if you so wish. And so there are other resources you can look at, including, if you're a complete beginner to Shakespeare, No Fear Shakespeare is a pretty good resource that's online. Um, if you do use those kinds of resources, like No Fear Shakespeare or SparkNotes Shakespeare, for instance, to understand certain sections, I would like you to use it as a supplement. So still go ahead and read the Shakespearean language, wrestle with it, just kind of find a way to kind of get into the flow of the language. And if there's something you still don't understand, then you can go ahead, you could use that resource, but don't use it as a substitute to reading the original Shakespearean language. I will say that again, if you're new to Shakespeare, within 1 or 2 weeks, you start getting into the swing of things. Even without you noticing it, it becomes a lot easier to get into the flow of Shakespeare's language. So don't worry if it seems hard at first. I promise you, you'll get into the rhythm of it very quickly. The second tip that I want to mention to you is that if you come across a section or a scene or a passage in a Shakespearean play and you don't really understand, or it's kind of hard for you to understand what they're saying or what the references are, one really good suggestion is to go ahead and type in that act or that scene into YouTube, because again, there's so many YouTube adaptations of Shakespeare that are available. Shakespeare was meant to be played, to be performed, not really meant to be read like we're reading it. But since we are reading it as literature, again, using that aid of the actual performance to help understand the lines is going to be very helpful. There are 4 main assignments. The first is reading journals. So these are just, again, the Canvas discussion posts that ask you guys to reflect and to think about, discussion questions related to the Shakespeare text that we're reading for that week. And normally I ask people to reply to at least 2 other class peers. So that's something that we're going to be doing. The other assignment category includes the reading quizzes. And so again, in a similar format, after reading a Shakespearean passage, I might assign you a reading quiz to, again, just to get you to think more critically about certain parts of that passage or certain parts of that act. There is going to be a final essay project. So at the very end of our course, I will be asking you to write an essay, minimum 6 pages. And so that's going to be one of the assignments. And then there's something called Shakespeare Puzzles and Questions. I'll talk about that a little. I'll kind of demo that for you guys in a little bit. So the letter grade distribution you can take a look at by yourself. Here I have the description of the assignments. I think everything is quite clear, except the Shakespeare puzzles and questions. And so I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. So what the Shakespeare puzzles and questions is that if you go to our module page, right? So if you click on modules right here, it's going to take you, oh, Just let me go ahead and click on this here. It's going to take you right here. And so I have added every single student in our class to the classwork Google Doc. And so you should be able to have access to it, request access to it if you can't get into it immediately. Now I will give you access to it. And so this is going to be where we're going to be doing the Shakespeare puzzle and question series. I've divided up the whole class into groups of 5, right? And then every week, I'm going to be posting a section of the play that I think is interesting in some way to this Google Doc, and I'm going to be assigning it to a particular group. So, for instance, week 1, group 1 is assigned that particular section. And so, what group 1 is going to be doing is, just kind of crowd share. Um, Take responsibility for a couple of lines and just translate them into normal, everyday, colloquial English. And so what that is going to do is going to get you in the practice of parsing and really trying to analyze and understand Shakespeare's language. So again, you can just kind of crowdsource this. You can collaborate on this. You can just divvy up the lines by writing down your name next to the lines that you want to do. And so again, this is going to be assigned to every single group over the coming weeks. The other component to the Shakespeare Puzzles and Questions assignment is the crowd shared question and answer section. And so what this basically means is that alongside the puzzle that I assign to particular groups, I have this section that I open up every week for everybody in the class, everyone, to post a line or a passage that they did not understand or that they felt a little foggy with right here. Maximum, let's say 10 to 15 lines per student, right? And so every week I'm expecting everyone to post a passage, again, max 10 to 15 lines, and to help answer somebody else's lines. So for instance, you might have read Act 1 of Romeo and Juliet, and you really didn't understand lines 45 to 50. So post that here, put your name, write down the act, right, the scene, the line. But then you notice a class peer has uploaded a passage from a section that you did understand, maybe the same act, the same scene, but lines 20 to 25, right? And so I would like you to go ahead and answer that for your class peer. Write down the what that particular passage means in everyday, ordinary like English, right? And so the reason I think this is important is because since we're meeting asynchronously, this is a great way to develop class community. It's a great way to exchange ideas, help each other solve problems, and to have that element of community that normally we would have in a face-to-face classroom through discussion, right? So again, this is something that I want everyone to do, right? Um, every week, post down 10 to 15 lines that you didn't understand and to solve someone else's 10 to 15 lines, right? After the assignment description section on the Canvas website, the next important section is going to be the semester calendar. This I highly recommend you to read very, very carefully. And if any questions come up, please do get in touch with me through email or feel free to drop in during my office hours. And so essentially, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a general overview of the section right now. This is divided into 3 columns, and it's going to list all of the assigned ratings and assignments per week of our asynchronous class. And so let's take a look at a couple of things together. So for the first week, I'm going to be posting my video by Monday, May 13th. And I'm also posting the assigned readings for this week, which include Madeline Sayet's Interrogating the Shakespeare System, which is an online article that she's written, and this video by Catherine Brommer Santos on the decolonial imagination of Borderlands Shakespeare's. And so under the due column, right, this is when the assignments based upon these readings are going to be due. So the reading journal, which is based upon the Say It article and the Vomero Santos video, is going to be due by Friday, May 17th. And additionally, I have a reading quiz, which is essentially based upon the video that I'm recording about the class and the class policies. So in general, I have the weeks broken up into increments of two, right? And so let's go ahead and take a look at this pattern in week two, right? So by Monday, May 20th, I'm going to have my second video uploaded. I'm going to have the module opened, which is going to give you access to Ansel Dua's Borderlands La Frontera and the Miles Greer article, Staging Cherokee Othello, right? And so you have until Friday, May 24th, to complete the reading journal that's based upon these two particular readings. So the second increment of week two is, marked on Wednesday, when I'm asking you to go ahead and read Romeo and Juliet. And the reading quiz based upon Romeo and Juliet is also due by Friday, May 24th. So, in general, not always, but in general, this is what the pattern is going to be. I have every single week of our asynchronous class divided into increments of two, right? And I have the assignments generally for both increments due on Friday. So what this basically means is that it's up to you to organize how you want to do the work in the week, right? I highly recommend spacing it out. I think it's a good idea to have things done, again in chunks and not all together. I don't think trying to do everything all together would be a very effective strategy. But if you want to do it that way, again, it's up to you, right? So whatever again your workflow is, you're going to have that particular flexibility. Again, on most weeks, not all, of again having the video opened and having the module opened, and having the assignments on both of the chunks of that week due on Friday, the end of the week, right? But again, that's not going to hold true for every week, which is why you want to pay attention to the due dates on this calendar. So week three, again, we're going to be reading Kim Hall, right? I'm going to have you read Romeo and Juliet, Acts 2 and 3. The reading journal based upon this assignment is due Friday, May 31st. The second chunk of week three, right? I'm going to have you read Romeo and Juliet, Act 4. And the reading quiz is also due by Friday, right? So I recommend breaking it up and having this done by Wednesday, right? Including the reading journal. But again, you have until Friday to complete it. And the second chunk again, you can read it earlier if you wanted to as well. But then the assignment is due again on Friday. So this week four is going to be an exception, right? I'm having you start off the week by reading Romeo and Juliet. And I have the reading journal that's actually going to be due on Wednesday, June 5th, right? By midnight. And the reason is because in this week I am having you write two reading journals. So the second chunk of week four is when we're going to be watching the film version of Romeo and Juliet. And so your reading journal based upon that film version, aka your visual analysis paper, is going to be due by Saturday, June 8th. And so again, because you have those two reading journals, this one is pushed back until Saturday to give you extra time. But then I'm having this one due earlier so that you can go ahead and give it its due, right? Week five, right? We're going to be reading from Gillen Vomero Santos, right? And Adriano Santos, tracing the traditions of Borderlands Shakespeare. I have a video on the Chicana movement in Texas, and this is context for the Romeo and Juliet adaptation, which is Ceres Jaime Magaña's A Tragic Corrido of Romeo and Lupe. I'm having you read pages 1 to 15. And so the reading quiz, again, back to the regular pattern, due by Friday of week five. The second chunk of week five, we're going to be reading more from Ceres Jaime Magaña, right? And in addition, I have a couple of articles assigned with this chunk. And so the reading quiz of this chunk is also going to be due by Friday. So once again, right, you have that week, you have the flexibility of the week you have the flexibility of the fact that the assignments are due by the end of the week. And it's up to you. The assignments and all the readings are going to be made available to you at the very beginning by Monday, if not the week before. And it's up to you how you want to organize your week to take care of those two chunks. Let's keep on going. Week six, we're going to continue reading Ceres Jaime Magaña's The Tragic Corrido of Romeo and Lupe. And I have this supplemental article for context, understanding the surge in migration at the US-Mexico border. And then the reading journal of that assignment is due on by Friday, June 21st by midnight. Week 7, we're going to be starting on Julius Caesar, and I have a podcast assigned alongside of that. The quiz is going to be due by Wednesday, June 26th. The second chunk of week 7, we're going to go ahead and read Act 2 of Julius Caesar and the supplementary article on Act 2. And then again, because we have that second reading quiz, that's going to be due on Friday, right? Which is why I pushed this due date up till Wednesday. So again, you want to make sure that you're constantly referring to this particular calendar and keeping on top of the due dates. Week 8, we're going to be reading Act 3 of Julius Caesar and watching these 2 videos. You're going to be completing reading journal 7, right, due by Friday. The second chunk of week 8, you're going to be reading Act 4 of Julius Caesar and complete the reading quiz by Friday. Week 9, you're going to be reading Act 5 of Julius Caesar and completing a reading journal, right, which is due on Wednesday. Again, that we're going to be breaking the pattern here, Wednesday, July 10th. And then the second chunk of week 9, we're going to be watching the Phillida Lloyd film, and then you're going to be writing a second reading journal, which is again pushed back a little bit till Saturday, July 13th by midnight. The very last week, week 10, is the final week of our class, and essentially you get to work on your papers and do the work for your papers, and your papers will be uploaded on Canvas by July 18th. All right. So at this point, one thing I should mention as a disclaimer is that the readings and assignments are subject to change if, again, it becomes clear that the class need is that we spend some more time on a particular act, or that there's a better supplementary material that's going to help you understand a particular act, then I will be making those changes. But that said, any changes that I make, I will be notifying you through email and through announcements. So the rest of this particular syllabus, go ahead and read on your own time. One thing that I should mention is that I do have synchronous office hours. Because our class is async, it is important to have those synchronous office hours through Zoom so that you all can just drop by, say hi if you want to, ask any questions, and just get any help with anything that you might need. And so my synchronous office hours are going to be on Wednesday from 12 noon till 2 p.m. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to generate a Zoom link, right? I'm going to send it through email and also post it on the announcement section of our class. And so if I go here, this is the announcement section right here, right? This is where I'm going to be posting every single homework email. I normally just post in the announcement section as well. And then this is also where the Zoom links for the office hours will be posted. If you want to email me, I recommend using Canvas Inbox. It's quite easy, but you can also, I'm just going to scroll back up here. You can also contact me on my FGCU email, which is zchima@fgcu.edu. And my office hours are listed as well here. So once again, I think we have basically covered the main parts of the syllabus. If there's anything that comes up for you about the other parts, feel free to go ahead and email me if you have any questions. But please do read the whole thing carefully, right, on your own time. So I think I've covered again where everything mostly is. The announcement section is quite important. If there's a homework email that was sent 2 weeks ago that you need to check and you just have too many emails in your inbox, the announcement section is where you want to come again, because every single homework email is going to be there. So you'll be able to easily access that information. And everything is going to be in the module section in terms of the readings and the videos and the assignments. And this is organized by week. And as I mentioned, my videos will be posted by Monday of every week, and it'll be linked over here, right? And along with the readings and assignments. So with the tour completed, the very last part of this video is going to be me talking about the homework that's going to be due. So here I'm just going to go ahead and go back to the syllabus page. And for week one, again, it's to watch this video. It's to read Madeline Sayet's online article. It's to watch Catherine Balmer Santos's video. And it's to complete the reading journal and to complete the first reading quiz. The reading journal, again, both the reading journal and the reading quiz, and actually the videos will be accessible again through the modules. Again, it was a pleasure to talk to you asynchronously, and I'm looking forward to this class.